How is? Yeah, last night was a pretty bad experience. It was the worst sort of spiritual attack I had since late 2018, when that 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 group down in Cork had been playing games with me, and although that was a slow, pernicious thing, this is this is. I mean, I've told you the story when I was 17. That there was a black monkey appeared in my bedroom and jumped on my back. Well, something very similar happened last night, and completely out of the blue. And I thought I was dying at one point. Now, I went to bed very late, but I don't know if it's the sleep cycles of the whole Rona, the ping pong lockdown, or it's making these entities stronger, because I do occasionally have manifestations, and I do occasionally come across these forces, but they've always been very, very weak. They're very weak things. They're not. They don't. They wouldn't. They wouldn't have. This thing was powerful, and it was pure malicious in intent. It was there to kill me, and I had. I was halfway. As it does, you're halfway between wake and sleep, and you enter when your psychic defense is down. And most people have these experiences thinking they're dreams, that they think they're a dream that's happening, and they're not. They're not dreams. You're in the terminator between waking and sleeping, and that's the point where you're. And it was after 3 a.m. too. So, and this is the point where the veil, or the separation, the demarcation line between psychic states is seriously diminished, and that's why, the witching hours between 3 and 4 is because the sun is at the furthest point from where you are on the earth. That's why it's 3 and 4 all over the world. It doesn't matter the time zone, because you're on the opposite side of the earth from the sun, and the sun's rays have a protective quality in terms of helping your psychic integration. And at that point, when you're on the furthest side of the planet from the sun, it affects our consciousness, and to the point where that's when rituals are performed at those times, and that's also when people generally have their sleep paralysis experiences and so on at that time. And so I don't know what time it was. It must have been after 4, and literally a hole opened right in front of my eyes. A hole opened up, and this thing, what I could describe it looking like, was an earwig about landed on my chest, and it was about the length from my kneecaps to my neck. So what's that, 3 feet? And it landed with a thud, and it smelt of the most foul smell you could ever imagine. It was like, I don't know. Have you ever been in Ireland? We have ditches, or also if you ever have a stagnant pool where everything dies, it doesn't smell of shit. It smells of rotten bacteria, and it's when you have that black mud in a ditch when the ditch isn't moving, and everything that is rotten. It smelled of that, and it it made a noise that sounded like a machine. Again, it had that. It sounded like the noise that it made was an electronic, almost like static noise it made, and within a split second, it had extended this proboscis out from its head, and it had gone right down into my mouth, down my throat, and right down to where my heart was, and it was trying to stop my heart with this kind of electrical activity from its tongue. Now you could say, okay, it was a dream. With this, you don't have smells and dreams. It's as clear as this, me talking to you. And I was gagging and gagging, and all I could hear was that constant electronic noise So I used my teeth and I bit down on its tongue or its proboscis or whatever it was, and it screamed and withdrew it really quickly. And then I was starting to scream at it, saying, "Get the fuck out of here." Uh, I was punching at it, and I wasn't in a state of fear. I was more in a state of, I would say, shock and surprise that like this was actually happened. It wasn't like I was terrorized or anything like that. I was more like, what the fuck is this? So I was punching it and saying, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, get off me, you fucking cunt, get off me," and smashing the thing. And it was this electronic noise that it made kept getting louder and louder. And then the next thing I knew, it was just gone. It was just, this wasn't there anymore. And I have not been right since. I've been shaking all day. Uh, I have been just not feeling myself at all. I was supposed to meet a friend for dinner tonight. I don't want to go there now. And I, I've I've eaten some really like healthy, really good, like comfort, nutritious food, and that's helped a lot. But I think what happened was I found a bottle of sherry, and I haven't had a drink in a good long time. And while I was doing some stuff, I was drinking the bottle of sherry, and it was lovely. It was just beautiful. And so I had a couple of glasses of it, 3 glasses of it, and I went to bed fairly tipsy, but buzzing. And I think that was probably, because of maybe these things are getting stronger during the lockdown. But I think me drinking alcohol and not being asleep, that my psychic defenses were open to this thing, and that's the way I would describe what it looked like. An earwig, about 3 feet long, that made electronic clicking noises. It extended its proboscis or its tongue out down my throat to suffocate me and try to get my heart. And I had my heart checked recently, and it's in good nick. I've no problems with it. Like I've no problems like that. Anything going on, so it's not telling me about that. I just I feel like I've been violated. I feel like I've been like I don't know what being raped feels like, but I feel like I've been, I the sanctity of my state, myself, has been violated. That's how it feels. It just feels awful, and I'm better now than I was this morning. But I was in a very bad way this morning. I was very upset and shaking and everything. That's not like me at all. I mean, I can pretty much take a lot of like you see like the abuse that I get online and stuff like that. I can usually laugh at that because it's like I always say, when a person of character attacks me, that's when I'll be worried, and but this was different. There was so much. I often wonder if it was some kind of personal, was it a more manifestation of someone's hatred or vindictiveness or something like that that took on the shape of a form. But the thing was, it was very specific. It wasn't a vague or a miasmic vision. It was a very specific biological structure. I wouldn't say it was Lovecraftian, or well, I don't know. Maybe it didn't have that. It wasn't of that nature. It was insectoid. An insect kind of thing, but also an intelligent, like a highly intelligent insect. This thing was a smart fucker. It wasn't it wasn't the usual low level trash from the abyss. There's something. It was like there's something. It had come with a purpose, as almost as if it was following orders. That's the way I'd put it, like a hitman from the abyss. That's the way I describe it. But I'm still here, and if you have these experiences yourself, know that you're not, don't, they are very upsetting, and they do hurt, and they're not. Some people are terrorized by them, but also know that you can fight back against these things, just like you can fight back. It's a kind of an animal. It's like you can fight back at them, like if a wild animal jumps on you, like up until like it's a tiger or something, you have a good chance that, like I say, a big cat jumped on you, you could probably punch it off you, that kind of thing. You know, a larger animal you can't, but it's like that. And I don't know who this thing is, where it came from, how it was generated, how why it arrived in the form it did. But I can tell you something, the fucker was personal and he had it in for me.